What's happening, guys? In this video, I want to share with you how I think, the way that my brain thinks basically in terms of growing a business, and what bits you need to specifically really look at, and the easiest, lowest hanging fruit, to be honest. Let's be perfectly honest. The easiest ways to make more fucking money. That's the smartest way of running a business. Now, what I've got here is some figures on here and some stuff that, as I go through these are the figures that you need to know for your business. So, for example, we've got here margin. Like, you should be able to review your last 12 months of trading and go, right, our average margin has been a set amount basically. You should know that what your gross profits are on all the jobs that you've done. You want to know things like the average job size that you complete as a whole. So if you've done 20 jobs in a year, work out what revenue you did and divide that by the 20, and that'll give you your average. You also want to track how many jobs you've priced as well. That's a very important metric in the business. And then lastly, the conversion rate. So basically how many jobs you priced and how many you won. So I'll talk through this, and this is how I think. So let's just assume for 1 minute that you're turning £1 million a year. That's excluding VAT. £1 million a year, just to keep the maths really easy for people. Now, I know some people listening to this, you're going to be, just over the £500,000 mark, or some of you are going to be doing a couple of million quid already. So let's just go with a million to keep it dead easy. I like to keep things nice and simple. Now, let's just assume that you know that you're currently operating at a 10% margin, which is not uncommon. But again, it's nice, easy round figures just for this example. But it's not uncommon for like main contractors and bigger companies to be working to that margin. But let's assume you are. That would mean that you're making 100 grand gross profit per year. Now, the easiest, trust me and listen really carefully when I say this, the easiest way to make more money in any business is improving the profit margin. Like, you don't have to do any more work, you don't have to win any more jobs, you don't have to recruit any more people. It's literally the most important metric and figure in any business. Even just improving that by 1%, that is all extra cash in the till, money in your pocket to do what you want with. And that's the reason you're in business. You're in business to make money. Can't stress that enough. We can never ever lose sight that the key fundamental of being in business is to make money. That's why you started it. That's reason number one. That's the ground zero. But let's just say we unravel the business and we go, do you know what? You're not operating at a very good margin for what you are. Personally, I'll be honest, I think 10% is dog shit in this industry. But let's just say all you did was price work slightly differently, and you change that margin to 20%. So we double the margin, you get 20% there. That would then straight away, instantly, turns that figure into 200k a year. Doing no more work. It's as simple as doing the work of understanding your numbers and adding the right fucking profits on. I can't stress that enough. That's the easiest 100 grand you will ever fucking earn in your life. It's unbelievable. And as the business scales, that figure only gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. But just imagine, if that's 25%, that's 250 grand a year from not doing any more work. So really get your heads around that, okay? Now, so that's the first thing I would look at in any business. Ground zero, I'd look at the margin straight away. That is it. That's bang for buck. Honestly, you will not get better. That's how I would look at things. Then, once you know the next line, we understand that the average job you do is, let's say it's 50k. Terrible arrow, I'm not very good on this, but it will do. 50 grand a year is your average job. And, just for argument's sake, to make that £1 million, that's 20 jobs. So 20, 50 granders, that's your £1 million a year turnover. That's what you know you're doing. If, just to give you an idea, if that average turned to £60,000, so slightly bigger jobs, I'm not saying like, let's aim for the moon and like turn into like, let's start winning 200 grand jobs, 300 grand a year jobs. Because sometimes they can be actually more headache than what they're worth, but I won't get into that on this video. But let's just say you just increase the value of the work that you're getting by £10,000, so it's 60 grand jobs. What that then does is then means that 20 jobs, so 50 grand jobs, you need 20 of them to make the mill. If you're doing 60, you then need 16.6, so let's call it 17 jobs instead of 20. Now, that might not sound like a lot, that's 3 jobs less a year, but it's exactly that. It's 3 jobs less a year. That's 3 less inquiries, quoting stage, tendering stage, backwards and forwards on a client, another client to deal with. Clients are a ball ache to deal with at times. It's 1 less, well, in this example, 3 less people to deal with. So that's a hell of a lot less of admin, paperwork, resources, and staff that you need on your side from the business, from the office side. That I'm all for that. You know, if you can do less jobs at a better margin and be more efficient, that's the smartest way to grow a business. Because if you grow a business and you don't look at stuff like this, your problems just become bigger and bigger and bigger. It's much easier to go, right, here's where we are today. Let's get as efficient and as best as we possibly can. And then you can just grow as much as you like. That's a smarter way of looking at it, okay? But I think that's a really interesting metric to look at, that 17 jobs, 3 less than 20 to do that. Now, the biggest one, the next one here, so 100 jobs priced to win those 20 jobs. So if you know that figure, if you know that you've looked at and you've priced 100 jobs in a year, and that has got you 20 jobs for the year in your business, like actual live jobs, you then know that your conversion rate is 20%. So you convert 20%. Conversion rates are so important. It's a constant metric. I used to look at it every month in terms of like estimators, QSs, and what we're pricing, what's the value of what we've priced, and what's our win rate, because that's what keeps your your finger on the pulse, sorry, of knowing, right, we're doing really well at the minute or you're not. You know, you really need to know that conversion number. And I think 20% is what a lot of people work to, but it's not very good. You want to be aiming a lot higher than that. But if we said, look, let's just improve that by 10%. Let's aim to get that conversion rate to 30%. So bear in mind, this is not doing any more work, because you're already pricing the work anyway. You're just winning them and getting them over the line, which is more about sales, your whole communication, your lead qualifying, you know, lots of different bits. But again, for the purpose of this video, let's just assume we can increase that by 10%. And anyone should be able to do that. You should be able to increase that conversion rate by 30%. But if you do that, that means that you would only need to price 67 jobs here instead of the 100. Does that make sense? So because you're converting at a much higher rate, instead of having to price 100 jobs, which takes a shit ton of time, let's be honest, and expense, it's expensive to cost jobs. You know, we've had jobs that cost us 10 grand to price in the past. I'd rather be pricing as little as possible. You're never going to win every job. Like, that's the realities of the world. But if you can price a little bit less, and I'm just asking for a 10% improvement here, convert at a higher rate of 30%, and it means you've only got to price 67 instead of 100. That is 33 less jobs you need to price in a year. Now, that is a shit ton of money and time. No mistake about it. That is a fucking ball ache as well. So you can start to see that you'd be really clever with your numbers, and these are the main things I would pull on. Number one, the margin. Let's get the margin up. You have to get the margin up, which might mean you need to market differently. You might need to get a different type of clientele, customer to be able to do that. But you've got to do that, step one. Then it's looking at the average size of jobs you're getting and really understanding that. And then it's understanding, right, how much are we pricing and what's our conversion rates, because where are we efficient? Because really, for me, that 100 jobs turned into 67, that could be the difference between having another estimator in the business. That could be the difference of another 30, 40 grand a year salary in your business to be able to price all that amount of work. So your costs are just spiraling out of absolute control. So get efficient. These are the main levers that I would pull on, and really do this yourself. Do this exercise yourself. Get your numbers and go, right, what's my current margin? What's my average gross profit for the year? What's my average jobs? How many jobs is that a year? How many have I actually priced in a year? If you don't know this, there's your fucking problem. And then understand your conversion rate, what you're currently winning work at, what's your win rate, and then go, right, let's do the scenarios and actually work through this and see where you need to improve. And that is the absolute game changer, because then as you go to a £2 million a year business, or a £5 million a year, or a £10 million a year business, see the difference in 10% margin or 20% margin. You know, if you're doing 10 million quid a year, that 200 grand at 10% is 2 million, but it could be four. Sorry, it would be 100. Fucking idiot. It'd be a million, but it could be 2 million quid at £10 million a year level. Okay, and you know it's big numbers and it's a big difference. So I hope you find this is useful. That's all I've got today.